It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a dork, it's a couple dorks, reminiscing some nostalgia in classic video games, toys, and cartoons. I'm your boy Blaze McCoy, and with my awesome friend Super Nacho, we invite you to join us in the Legion of Dork, a podcast where we talk about our favorites of the past and discuss it all with you. The good old days when video game arcades were full, pinball, and more. When the toy stores were stocked to the ceilings with all your favorites like G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. Well, it started all with Pong with me in the 70s. Then Atari, Nintendo, Sega, ColecoVision, and television, and more brought new classics. Classics like Space Invaders, pew pew pew, and Donkey Kong. Pitfall! Dig Dug was a great one. Spent a lot of quarters on Galaga, that's for damn sure. Tecmo Bowl, hut, 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 touchdown, and all the sports games. Super Mario Brothers became an instant classic, so did Zelda and Sonic the Hedgehog. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was a great one to play. So was Street Fighter, Hadouken, and all the fighting games. Star Wars toys and Hot Wheels is where I started collecting toys back in the day. Masters of the Universe, and you can't forget the bad guys. Of course, Transformers, more than meets the eye. Inhumanoids are here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Heroes in a Half Shell. Can't forget the wrestling figures, WWF, AWA, and those little guys, the Muscles. Yeah, I love playing with those, are great. Thundercats, ho! And even Voltron brought them all together with movies, cartoons, and toys. Join us in the Legion of Dork right here on the Blaze Radio Network here on YouTube. Yo, 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 my spidey senses tingling again. It's time for the Legion of Dork. Hey, man, it's me right there. Hey, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. And welcome to the Legion of Dork, another retro video games, toys, cartoons, all that good stuff. And we got plenty of people piling in already. Make sure you guys share this out. It's Spider-Man week, man. We got a new movie coming out. More than ever. There's tons of Spider-Man stuff. Oh, it is making my head hurt a little bit. Oh, never mind. I'm doing fine. Well, we'll all be doing even better when we bring on my co-host. I forgot to introduce him the only correct way, but let's just call him the moron of steel. The man who could leap tall buildings with a running start. The one and only, the man with all the details, the man that knows a lot than me. I'm just the host with the most, hanging out with you guys, and I appreciate you all. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the neighbor of Jeff, who I still don't know who the hell Jeff is, but I guess it doesn't matter. He's my awesome friend, Super Nacho. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Hey, this is something I've been waiting for a long time. I'm a huge, well, you can't guess that I'm a huge Spider-Man fan or not, right? How about you?
I'm a big Spidey fan. And he's not my favorite character, but he's pretty awesome.
Oh, well. We got a lot of people already in. Let's pay some shout-outs here. PFW is in the building. Who's this Super Nacho guy? Oh, that's you. Never mind. Clinton Cage is in the building. Good to see you, my friend. We have David Fowler, the Pancake Man. Good to see you, my brother. Welcome to the show. Cody Hagen's in the building. Big shout out to you. Great to see everyone hanging out, stopping in. Rob A, Match It with a Hatchet. Mr. Machete is here. Curdy B's in the building, my brother. Good to see you. The Crimson Ninja's in the house. Jay Vulture, great show early on UCWE and his channel over there. You guys do an amazing job. Madness Elite Show, shout out to you, my brother. Great to see you. Welcome in, everybody. Oh, Hot Fire Rose, it's getting hot in here. Well, keep your clothes on, people. Please, please, please. Who else we got hanging out? You guys are rocking the chat. My boy Aggie's in the building. Introduce me, he says, damn it. He is Mr. Aggie himself. I appreciate you, my brother. Great to see you, friend.
Froze on me, Blaze.
And we also have
no sound coming from you.
No sound?
Oh, there we are. There we are.
Yeah, it's gonna hang tight on me. This thing is like I said, I need a computer upgrade. My Spidey sense can't do anything about that. No superhero can fix that. Good to see Elfie in the building as well. Okay. We got so much stuff to talk about tonight. That's one thing we found out about Spider-Man, and we kind of knew it before. I can't miss Mark Caliber, the stat man. Spider, it's the best way you put it, I would say. Movies, cartoon, comic books, TV shows, you name it. Anything Spider-Man seems to catch on and sell. What do you think the intrigue is with this super hero over other ones, bro?
I think it's because he's an everyman. I mean, he wears a full face mask, so anybody can envision themselves being him. You know, he's a kid, which is like the target age for all this stuff.
True.
You know, he has like real problems beyond like punching villains in the face. You know, he's high school kid dealing with all the bullshit that a high school kid deals with.
Well, if you guys know me here on my channel, I like cracking jokes, doing corny dad jokes and one-liners, and Spider-Man's always good for his little one-liners too. So that little comedy that he has is really good. The special shout out, if you don't know, Sports Collector's Choice on Instagram and all the other platforms. My man Aggie got it going on, and he's going to help me out with some Christmas presents this year. That's for sure. I got a nephew that loves Pokemon, and not easy to find that stuff. Like it's not easy to find sports cards anymore out there.
You know, while we're doing shout outs, I wanted to give one to my friend in the chat, Joe Amato. If you guys are into Masters at all, he has an amazing podcast called Fans of Power. Look it up on YouTube. So informative.
Where's he at? Did I miss him?
A lot of passion behind it. Very cool guy.
Type in the chat again, Joe, and I'll shout. Oh, Demon Joker's in the chat. There he is. There's Joe Amato. Big shout out. Can't see a damn thing through this mask. How's Spidey even do it? I know when Iron Man gave him a couple upgrades, made it a little easier. I need some upgrades. Oh, it's time to unveil myself and get this stuff. Sorry to disappoint y'all. Yeah, it's not Peter Parker. It's me. It's your boy Blaze McCoy. And ever since I've done this podcast, and I do have to thank you. I mean, you kind of shot the idea towards me, and I wish I would have thought of it earlier. But yeah, British Gamer, it's me, Dylan Travis over there. It's me. Good to see you. But I've been talking to some people that I know, my friends. A lot of people are like, wow, that's really cool. And I thought, yes, why didn't I think of this before, doing a podcast about things that we collected as childs, which are now collector's items like you talked about in the first place. If you go on eBay, there's a lot of things that are, worth a lot of money. Like my brother saw that our podcast, and the first thing he said is, your little Luke Skywalker with the extending lightsaber, you might want to check that one. And sure enough, you could get it, online, $50-$60, even for one not in great shape, because we're talking toys that are 40 some years old.
Yeah.
Old like us, right? So before we get into all the toys, we have a toy segment tonight, our theme, and it's not just toys, like I said. So we're going to branch out to a lot. It's Spider-Man, more than toys, but we're going to use it as a toy introduction. Ripper Springhill's in the house. Good to see you, my friend. But for me, it goes all the way to the 70s. I'm old. I'm 48 years old. I was born in 73. So as I got older, $6 Million Man was a big TV show, and I used to run real slow around the living room when it came on, and I wish I could jump as high as he could and everything. But when Spider-Man came out, that's when I knew, hey, this is the one I like. I made little web shooters with anything I could, pantyhose and nets and pieces of string or whatever it is, became a web shooter. So we're going to take a look back, and we'll hit into a lot more Spider-Man. But let's go all the way back to 1976. Older than most of you people in the chat, honestly. We'll play a couple Spider-Man commercials here, and this is one of my favorite parts, is digging into these crates to get these commercials. We'll be right back. Spider-Man web shooter from...
Pretend you're Spider-Man. Your mission, to rescue your friend high above. A job for your Spider-Man web shooter. Flip your secret wristband, take aim, and down slides your man to safety. But wait, there go the bad guys. Reload, take aim, shoot, zap. Got 'em. Bring 'em in. The Spider-Man web shooter supports the weight of toys only. Doll and truck not included. Buy fun stuff.
Interesting, right? I love old commercials. And it's like,
Yeah.
When we back then, that was like, wow. And nowadays, with all the CGI and all the crazy stuff they incorporate into commercials, superstars. But we did see, if you guys missed the first show, we highlighted Atari 2600, and there were some stars, some TV stars and movie stars in that commercial, as well as we touched base on He-Man and Transformers, which are two of my favorite, and big on He-Man yourself. But
yeah,
great commercial there. We got Minerva in the building. Great to see you. Welcome to the show. You're tuned into Blaze Radio. We're the legend of dork here, folks. We're not ashamed to admit it. And we talked about the first show too. It's like it's become cooler than cool with Marvel movies and TV shows and everything to have everything incorporated with it. It was a ton of research. Let me put it that way for both of us to track down a lot of the old things that went down with Spider-Man. And it's crazy, man. Now, some people out there are as old as us, but there's a lot of people that are a lot younger. But it started with the toys, and a lot of different toys we'll talk about here soon. So let's go ahead and start the first segment. We'll have more commercials here shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, join the Legion of Dork. So we have a slideshow for Spider-Man. The slideshow for Nintendo is our theme for tonight in the video game consoles. And I showed some of these last time, but I figure I'd pull it out. I'll pull that out. Be careful, folks. I got a lot of my Spider-Man toys lined up here. We will touch base on some of these throughout it. I mean, even the things like Pez. I know you guys remember Pez. I get addicted to that stuff, man. I could eat a whole thing of them. Pez were fantastic. Were you a candy guy when you were younger too, Nacho?
Yes and no. Like certain candies, I don't have much of a sweet tooth really, but certain ones like jelly beans, Butterfingers,
and then this little guy in his little car, and
is that the spider buggy?
Yeah, it's supposed to spit the web out whenever you press him down, but this thing's older than dirt as well. I actually have two of those. So a couple, anything Spider-Man, I was attracted to, and I wanted it, and I'm even drinking out of my golden Spider-Man goblet here.
Nice.
Did you get a hold? There's a bite out of it. You know, Super Nacho likes to eat all the inanimate objects around sometimes, so you got to be very careful. We showed off comic books before, and we'll get into the slideshow, which covers Spider-Man toys. And you guys, I appreciate it. Anyone out there, send me pictures of your collections of toys and stuff. I want to see what you guys have. We'll be sharing some stuff from Cody Hagen, from Shulky, from Super Nacho, and my friend G again, some of his drawings. We talked about comic books, and this is my oldest Spider-Man comic book from way back in the day. I kind of wish I had the first one that he was in, but I showed that off last time, but there's a reason I want to show these off again. I got a couple more newer ones. This is my favorite comic. I showed you this guys before, Spider-Man vs. Wolverine. I'm not really a big reader of comics, but I love the artwork. I used to be a graphic designer. I guess I kind of still am, but I love the artwork. I loved covers as well. Spider-Man: The New Beginning, 1999, #1 there. And it was hard for me, even though a lot of my friends were really avid in the comic book area, but if I saw a number 1 of any version of Spider-Man on the shelf, I was grabbing it. Because as a collector of sports cards and stuff, I knew that number 1 issues are where it's at, obviously. David Fowler.
Usually first and last issues are what tends to be the most.
I had the Death of Superman comic book too, because I remember it was just a black cover. And I remember that seemed like it was going to be. So being a sports card collector, I wanted to collect, comic books just for some of the stuff as well. So Web Spinner's Tales of Spider-Man looked really wild. This is also a number 1. A good one there. I got a little surprise here, especially for you, Nacho, coming up. And these were all right about the turn of the century where I got back into just finding comics. And when this is Spider-Man Chapter 1.
Oh, John Byrne. Yep. John Byrne redoing everything. Yep.
Very cool. I really love the artwork in this one. Like I said, I don't really read a lot of it, but if certain ways that things are drawn, I know. I got some friends I really wish I could bring on that can break a lot of that stuff down. Me, not as much, but there you go. Spider-Man Pez. The oldest Pez was a 70. Bugs Bunny and Batman. Nice. Yeah, I know a lot of those Pez are kind of collectible too. Now here's one for you, Nacho, and I forgot I had this.
Mind blowing. Inhumanoids.
Inhumanoids, number 1.
Sweet.
I didn't even realize that I had it, but you're freezing up now. There you go. You're back. Inhumanoids, number 1. And I mentioned to a couple of my friends that wasn't as PC, as kid-friendly as some of the other comics that were out there.
Oh, God, no.
So it's more scary type stuff.
Yeah, the main characters were all monsters, which is why I like it. I'm a sucker for anything with monsters.
So we're going to talk a lot about toys. And we covered, like I said, Transformers and stuff before. But before we get in, we got another old school commercial here. This is 1977 Spider-Man commercial. We'll be right back with more Legion.
It's Energized Spider-Man with Spider Sense. Battery not included. Turn the Spider Sense activator. Red Dragon appears to go into action. Attach the web climber. Flip the switch, and he climbs automatically. Energized Spider-Man. The motorized web. It pulls. It lifts. The Spider Light to climb at night. The Spider Copter sold separately with Spider Sense panel. The power pack turns on the copter.
We'll have to get the Red Dragon.
Energized Spider-Man with Spider Sense comes with communicator. Spider Copter sold separately from Remco.
Once again, love those old commercials. Oh, Nacho got a black screen.
Uh-oh.
You might want to try to disconnect and reconnect maybe like you did last time because it's just freezing up on you. It could have to do with your internet connection, not sure. So I'm gonna kick you out and come on back, okay?
Okay.
See, we talked about the death of Superman, and Nacho kind of took it personally. So I want to show off one of my toys here, and I'll bring it back to Super Nacho to talk about it. But I know that the points of articulation have become a bigger deal with a lot of these types of toys and stuff. But this is one of my oldest of Spider-Man toys. Let's see if Nacho's back. There you are, back again. That works.
Cool.
So this guy here, I don't know if you know any. Now you know the details on a lot of them, but this is a pretty big one. I'd say about 7 or 8 inches tall, and points of articulation, this is just the bending stuff. I don't know how old this is, when I got it or whatnot, but this is one of my favorite ones that I have out of the Spider-Man toys. No, I would buy anything Spider-Man. I think this was a cap to like a shampoo bottle or something, you know. But it's cool enough to have a little Spidey on there, so I couldn't resist. We'll be talking about this one as we go through the toys, but I'll show it off now. Relatively newer one, but he comes with this little stand and hangs down from it. It's a spider web.
Yep, from the first movie.
Is that what it's from?
I have it hanging on the wall.
So, like I said, everything Spider-Man, I had to grab it, even a little plushie, and I showed this off before, and my brother had purchased this for one of my birthdays, so a bobblehead of Yes, me! In a little Spider-Man outfit. So anything and everything Spider-Man, I was down for it. I loved it. And
I pulled out the only Spider-Man figure I've got too.
Nice.
Yeah.
He has a little web coming. Yep.
Yeah, the silver wires that they used to use to keep them in the plastic inside the package.
That's
I
clever.
Yeah, I twisted it all together when I got it and made webs out of it. Used to have them hanging from the ceiling fan, and whenever I move, I find another place to hang them up.
Now, all the movies that have come out, numerous cartoons. We're going to go through tons of Spider-Man video games here as well. I have 40 Nintendo games we have to cover too. So we'll kind of rattle through this. But before we get to the Spider-Man slideshow, one more commercial. A lot of people called this show corny. It was. The production was a lot to be desired, but this is way, way back as well. Let's take a look at the old school Spider-Man TV. Nice. I gotta love the music, right? Check it.
Oh yeah, I love the bass line in that. You can tell it's so 70s.
Yeah, not porno
porno
music, people. Not
bass
porno.
line.
Yeah, it kind of does, but it is. Let's get into the slideshow. This is our toys section, but we're gonna delve way deep into it. Hell, I even got a Spider-Man hacky sack. If you guys remember the old hacky sack days, I can't do the things I used to do hacky sack, and I used to be more athletic, but hacky sacks, toys, you name it, there's Spider-Man. And let's go ahead and talk about, oh, it's all the way at the end. We need to bring that shit back. Give it a moment. This is where it's always normally, oh, it went all the way to the end. Let's get it. All right, so local store, figured I would take a snapshot. And I almost grabbed that AEW figure there of Jungle Boy. My friends from the WrestleSense podcast, which if you guys have watched that this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, me, CJ, Eazy-E, Doc, and Ray will be back with more WrestleSense podcast, and we'll be talking more about they talked about the toys. They have kids, so they were talking about how rare it is to find AEW figures. And a lot of them were the same ones. No one really that interesting, but that Jungle Boy had me very interested.
Like I said, I haven't seen a single AEW figure in my area. All I've seen is the belt in the smaller ring.
Yeah, I do. I mean, the little belt I do have up here, I got that. I had to. And I have a friend that got one of the real big belts too. But that was a lot. See, you guys out there, Machete, I see you saying you got some stuff. David Fowler got some stuff. Machete has some things. Send us some pictures, man. Big Chuck D as well. Send us pictures. We're going to showcase a couple right here for some people that sent us in. We want to be as interactive as we can. We'll bring on a guest or two at the end and chit chat. I did send out the link for anyone who wants to join the show and shoot the shit with us a little bit at the end on specifically Spider-Man and Nintendo. But if you want to talk about more stuff, no problem, man. That's what we're here for. We want you guys to be. Yeah, Santana Ortiz were there, but the Jungle Boy was behind a couple. I think someone might have hit it, but yeah, send me some pics, Clinton. Definitely, we'll go into a couple people's pics here shortly. So I figured I'd take a couple pictures of what was at the Target here in my area. Masters of the Universe. I mean, they had up top. I see like some. I know they're made newer, but they're labeled retro or vintage.
Yeah, that's the Origins line. It's like I've got a bunch of them right here in front of me. They're basically meant to look like the vintage figures, but with modern articulation.
Yeah, I could tell like a little more detail in the hair and stuff like that, but I could see where they were trying to imitate the old school original ones.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. So that's,
You know, what's really cool about them is they're designed to come apart, so you can, you know, mix and match.
Mix them up. Yeah. See, I would
I
be
mean, we
really
used to do
creative
that
with
as kids, ripping the arms off and popping them on another dude.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. David, any of my DMs, Nightbot will Johnny 5 and my Nightbot will drop the links, Facebook, Twitter, Skype, any DMs, just drop some pictures in and we'll chit chat with you guys. There was more He-Man stuff below too. So they had a good bit of He-Man toys there for some reason. I see Ghostbusters and some Star Wars were there as well. But it was interesting just to hit. Now, back in my day, in our day, I should say, and a lot of people out there, you didn't go to Target or Walmart. You went to the toy store. You know, we had tons, Toys R Us and toy stores that packed all the way to the ceiling. You saw in the preview. In the preview, I took one picture that looks like a kid at one of those toy stores, and they were packed up all the way. I mean, I like just going to the toy store and looking around sometimes. What about you?
Yeah, same here. Like, even if I don't intend to buy anything, I like to hit my local store, you know, at least once a week just to see if he's gotten anything new.
So there was some Marvel area with Avengers, G.I. Joe, some really cool stuff, man. There was a lot more stuff than I thought they would. Sears as well, Cody. Speaking of Cody sent us a couple pictures here. A mix of different types of action figures here from Cody Hagan. Very cool stuff. Anything that sticks out to you there, Nacho?
I'm having a hard time making it out, honestly.
Yeah, and I see, what is that, Jason in the front there?
Maybe.
But just a plethora of different toys. Cody sent me 2 little pictures here. We have another one of now I'm not really into these. I don't know if we talked about these before, but Funko Pops are pretty popular. And the idea, I guess, I get it because it's not just one scenario. You got Funko Pops, just not everything. What about you?
Yeah, like I said last week, I don't collect them because for that very reason. They cover everything, and I know how I am. I'm going to end up wanting to buy them all, and I just refuse to go down that rabbit hole.
That was another reason why if I grabbed one of those AEW figures, you know, I was like, and I showed off wrestling figures on the first podcast, which basically when I started getting those AEW figures, it became I need to find as many as I can find and get all of them and collect them all like the Pokemon whatsoever. But it was... Yeah, toy hunts are very popular as well. And a lot of YouTube channels that do toy hunts. So I did a toy hunt in my mom's attic today and found some really interesting thing. You remember the actual booklets to the toys back in the day were very interesting.
Yeah.
This one, especially the Transformers ones, because, hey, they transformed. So this one kind of laid out how you transform it. What are all the things that come with it? And now I see that damn hose in the picture that you were talking about before.
Yeah, that's the part that seems to be missing the most. That like the satellite dish thing on that thing, I forget what it's called in the trailer.
So we talked about the Sears catalog when we were kids, where that's where you could see all the toys and stuff. But what they did with Transformers, they gave you the details on the one you had, but they also broke down all the toys. And you can see all the Constructicons. You see on the back, they have the smaller ones. So they literally broke down every single in the whole thing. So they teased you. Here's everything. Try to get them all. And kind of
yeah,
like
I loved those as a kid. That was like one of my favorite parts about getting a new toy was taking out that little catalog and
do you remember who what this thing was?
It looks like Omega Supreme.
Yeah, it came. Yeah, that's what it is. It came with a big rocket and a little thing around it too. That was pretty cool. So a lot of toys. See, Firestars here. Good to see you. The Christmas catalog. That was the last one. 93 was the last one. Wow. That's even long as hell ago. To think that they stopped doing that long ago. So you could tell us a little bit about this one, Nacho.
That's my daughter's Orko collection so far. Like, it's her favorite character from Masters of the Universe. The one with the beard is a custom. I bought the parts online, and
very cool.
Yeah, it's the one next to it is 2000X. The little mini one I got at Dollar Tree. The one with the purple base in the center is from the Origins line, the one that you saw today. And the next one is the original vintage, and the one next to that is from Masters of the Universe Classics. That's actually not Orko. It's a bad guy named Gorpo.
Oh. Well, see,
Yeah.
it's now correct me if I'm wrong, my memory is pretty bad, but Orko, did he talk or just make noise or
No, he talked.
okay.
He
couldn't
talked.
really remember.
Had magic that didn't work very well most of the time.
The
I
clumsy
mean, he
little
was meant to
sidekick.
be like, the character for like the kids to identify with, because
Yeah.
he was kind of childlike himself.
Very cool, very cool. I remember now that I mention it, I'm trying to figure out where I have it. I have the Ewoks from Star Wars. I remember
Yep,
Ewoks
same
from Star
idea.
Wars and Gremlins, and let's see if I can get to them. Back in the day, I think I can get to both. I got Animal up there too because I'm a drummer, of course. But on the original Gremlin that actually squeaked a little bit, still squeaks,
Nice.
and it's probably about 40 years old from the original movie. It's a little ratty, but that toy and a little Ewok, if you guys remember, little crazy Ewoks. Very cool stuff. And like I said, toys were just toys back then. We didn't really, I guess it's kind of like sports cards too, where I collected them to get the whole set or find your favorite player. But when value came into it, it really changed the game, right?
It really did. Like, when we were kids, people weren't buying toys thinking they were going to be worth money someday. They were just buying them because they liked the character or they liked the show or they just wanted something cool to play with.
That's why, and like nowadays, the rarity of having them still in the box is what makes them a lot of money, or unopened as they were. Like I said, I went to my mom's house, found a bunch of toys. We talked about this before. Robotech was a cartoon and a toy line back in the day. I didn't know Matchbox made them.
Yeah.
So made by Matchbox. And I covered it before. I was He-Man and Transformers. My brother was G.I. Joe, Robotech, and different things. But to give you an idea, the robots, and I called them the Transformers that didn't transform. Because they looked like...
Some of the Robotech stuff did transform, but some of it didn't.
Like he had the big ship as well. Gizmo. Ripper has a Gizmo. Bradley plays. Good to see him, man. He's playing the Star Wars theme, seeing it. That's what it does too. Really, I mean, you see some of these toys, you see some of these characters, it brings back memories. It's like a time machine sometimes. That's what the nostalgia is with me. I mean, it makes you feel like a kid again. And then, but a lot of people are into it because you can get a lot of money. Now, Shulky sent me a bunch of things, and I do remember this. This is an 8-track. I had the actual, but Pac-Man Fever, and that's where it started to really expand. Video games and stuff, music came with it, and then we talked about Transformers having that animated movie too back in the day. I was a big fan of that. But Pac-Man Fever, that's really cool. I was very excited to see that. I can hear that in the Space Invaders.
Yeah, I can hear it in
too.
my head just seeing the picture.
We're going to talk about Nintendo later, but one thing we're not getting into, and I never had a Game Boy. My brother had one, and whenever he wasn't playing, I'd play. Did you have a Game Boy at all, Nacho?
My sister did.
We were just like me. We talked about this before. Yep. If the other sibling got it, you just took turns.
Yep. But that was my parents' rule. If stuff like that, we had to share.
But Shulky sent me this, and this is her Game Boy as well. Game Boy Color. Of course, it's green. I just saw a picture today. of the woman who's going to play She-Hulk chick in the upcoming movie in her gear for the first time.
Oh, it looks cool so far.
It looks very, very cool, man. I was impressed. I was like, man, now that looks like something that's going to be fun.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing too. A lot of people, we talked about this before too, can be really critical, but you got to be careful when you're reincarnating these iconic characters and figures into the movies. Nowadays, they go really far. And so Donkey Kong, we'll talk about a little bit about that with Nintendo. Is this a Nintendo 64?
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't have one of those either. My brother was the video game king back in the day. He would defeat every game. Here is a little He-Man figure, an ornament that Shulky found.
I'm still trying to find that myself.
Very cool, very cool. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. The booklet, 45 record, Empire Strikes Back, E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, the record. Nice. I had a couple of those too. Actually, if I can find it, I have it somewhere. I'm not sure where. It's a 33, the big record, big album of Spider-Man, but it's a comic. That it's not music.
I
It's
know
just
what you're
talking.
talking about. My uncle had a ton of those when I was a kid. You'd get like a reprint of a comic issue, and the record would be like actors with sound effects and everything, so you could just read along in your comic. Yeah,
I really wish I knew where that is. It has to be somewhere. That's one thing I know it didn't sell, but actually it's probably downstairs I have a bunch of vinyl. It's probably in there with my vinyl. Well, that'll be for next time. See, if I knew I was going to forget something. Let's see what else Shulky sent us here. And see if she pops in a chat. I know she's watching. Little Skeletor.
Yeah, that's the one I really want. Skeletor is my favorite.
So you want a Knox Boogie character, is what you Knox Boogie knockoff. I love when you called Knox Boogie Skeletor. Here's some Funko Pops and the ode to the good old Super Nacho, the little Superman with a Christmas hat on. Very cool, very cool. And these are sent in, like I said, send your pictures in, people. I see people in the chat talking about it. I really dig this. Is that an ornament too?
No, I think that's like one of those like backpack clip things. It looks like he's got a clip.
Very cool. Like
I'm not sure though. It's hard to tell the glare.
Shulky, get your butt in the live chat and tell us what the hell this is. I know you're out there. Like we talked about earlier, everything Spider-Man.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's a Walmart exclusive though.
Yep. Now this is my friend GVE from last week. We saw little drawings of, and these are hand drawn, no tracing or anything like that. He has this up on his kitchen wall. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I think his spider sense is tingling. He does amazing work.
It's crazy to me that Spider-Man's costume hasn't changed at all from 1962. I mean, they do try to give him different costumes here and there, but they inevitably always go back to that same classic costume.
Yeah, there she is. There's Shulky. Here by my hands playing Tekken. That's a keychain. There you go. Thank you, Shulky.
I knew it was something like that.
Everybody give Shulky a hard time in the chat and make her stay and keep saying hi to her. Big shout out to the Coach Plays in the house. What's up, my brother? Tell us what type of, all you guys in the chat, tell us which type of toys or video games and stuff you guys collected. I want this to be as interactive as possible. I know I ramble. I talk a lot. Nacho's the man with all the details. I mean, he knows the finer points, the other things like that I can't remember. And he really gets in depth with a lot of things, especially when we talk about He-Man. Now, me and you, we could talk about He-Man all day long. I mean,
yeah.
Actually,
that's my number one thing.
I couldn't remember who he was, but you did. What's his name again? I forget already.
Roboto.
I found 2 of these at my mom's house, which means one had to be mine. But he's in good. He's in good shape.
Up there.
The one I always remember, I knew the gears turned somehow, left to right, and the gears turned.
Yeah.
That was back in the day. That was innovative, just something different than just a character.
He's got to pull his arm off and put different weapons on too. That was one of my favorite Masters figures.
That's right. That's right. Now we talked about this last week too. Is in this bin of toys that were my brother's was one bag with little guns from G.I. Joe and Star Wars additional parts, like parts from everything. It was crazy, just fishing through it. Fine, there you go, Shulky. Say hi to everybody.
No, you're breaking up on me.
It'll come back.
Uh-oh. Oh, there we go.
Yep, it just takes a second. Goddess of Pain's in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome in. Let's see what Coach Play said. Halo toys, Pokemon cards, WWF figures. There you go. We touched a little bit on those figures before, and we talked about Transformers last week too, so I got to show them. Little Shockwave, which was a gun. I'm not going to try to transform him, but he's in not the best shape. I don't even know how this part came off to transform him. I ain't messing with that right now. I also found a Y-Wing fighter from Star Wars days. You guys got Star Wars out there and everything. Thomas Prodninsky, good to see you, my friend. Remember me? I remember you, my friend. With a last name like that, how couldn't I? I'm hunky as well, my friend. Good to see you. If you are, you could be Russian. I'm not sure. Either one. The Ski's out in the building. A lot of people just call him Ski. There's Pillar, the Post, Pete's in the house. Good to see you, my friend. The only thing is with toys like this, the parts missing, little little finer points that could fall off or break.
Yeah, and trying to complete them can be expensive. Like little parts, little guns, they can go as much as the figures themselves sometimes.
So you mentioned, oh yeah, I found this guy too, and this is, I believe, is Grimlock.
No,
like
it's
Sludge.
Sludge, yeah, it's
Sludge.
pretty clear.
So a couple of those now. My brother, like I said, did more G.I. Joe than me. So I do have a couple G.I. Joe toys to show off. A good old tank from back in the G.I. Joe days.
Nice.
Now he
Yeah,
had
like I didn't have as many G.I. Joes. Like
Me
I watched
either.
the cartoons, I read the comics, but I didn't have a lot of toys. I had a handful of the characters I really liked, a couple of vehicles.
Now this Jeep I enjoy. Especially because like the G.I. Joe figures were about the same form factor as the Star Wars.
Yep, 3 3/4.
Yeah. So those kind of were interchangeable. You could have some interesting. It's Sludge, you dork. Yeah, we are. It is the Legion of Dork.
Yep. And I don't know what 3 3/4 inches translates to into centimeters for you, Pete. So you'll have to do the math yourself.
Yeah. All right, let's keep on with this slideshow. We have a lot of stuff now. Going into the toys.
Mego.
So is this like one of the first ones?
I don't think it was Ideal in the 60s before that. Because Mego was 70s, but that was my first Spider-Man figure.
Very cool, very cool. And like you said, the outfit, I mean, even with the shirts and stuff, the overall idea of Spider. Now in the movies and stuff, you see some updated, but ideally, the gear didn't change very much.
No, and every time they do change it, they go right back.
Yep. I like the traditional, just to look
I had
like
that
this.
one too.
Now that one, he doesn't have the webs on him, does he?
No,
It's just the red top.
Yeah, that line was very minimal on the paint applications. That's also by Mego. Those were also 3 3/4.
Here's a G.I. Joe fan Ripper, the Mauler and the Sky Striker. He knows the names of the toys. There you go.
Awesome.
You need to join us, Ripper. You know a lot about this stuff, man. You're more than welcome to come on the show, my man.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not super knowledgeable on G.I. Joe.
Me
I mean, I know the characters, but the vehicles, no.
The California Raisins characters in a box. Wow. See those?
Wow. Yeah,
that's very niche there. Those could be valuable. Yeah, go to eBay and see what those. So we got a bunch of toys here. We're going to keep talking about the evolution here of time as they got
I
different.
had that one too. The Marvel Secret Wars with the lenticular shields.
Now, did the shield do anything special or to change?
Yep. When you moved, it would switch 2 different pictures, and the little white thing below the shield is a package of more pieces to put in the shield. So I think they were double-sided too, if I remember correctly.
Nice. Yeah, we talked about when I had my Blaze cards collection, they had a card back in the day called Sportflix, where if you twisted it and turned it, you would see the different. I don't know if there's a name to that type of form factor, but yeah, a lot of the toys had that.
Yeah, that was lenticular.
Lenticular. Okay, there you go. See. Cerebral Killer Fam is in the house. Welcome to the show, man. Hey, you guys hit that thumbs up. Share this out if you can. I'll be back on tomorrow night with a little bit of wrestling, but Wrestle Sense podcast this Thursday night at 8 p.m. with the boys as well. So yeah, Secret Wars, very cool one there. And anytime you get additional to the actual figure, I think it's an added bonus. And there's another one.
Yeah, and that was the first time the black suit was made into a figure. It debuted in the Secret Wars comic book miniseries.
Nice. That's very cool. I had a Viewmaster too. You remember Viewmaster?
Yep.
Yeah, that was another thing that they would make just about anything in. So what about this one?
That's Toy Biz. I think. Yeah, that's from when they first started making figures.
Very cool. Like I keep looking at one, thought I had one almost like that, but no. A lot of the toys that I have are still pretty new.
And that's from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Sweet. Yeah, we could have delved into the cartoon, but if we would have got into cartoon and stuff, we'd be here for a long time with so much.
Yeah, I mean, he's had 11 cartoons since 1967, so I mean, we could do a whole episode just on Spider-Man cartoons.
And even when we go into the movies, just the Spider-Man movies, but then you have the Avenger movies that he ended up being in too. So those on top of that. So Spider-Man, Spider Friends. Do you remember Spider Friends?
Yep.
That was one of my favorite cartoons. Who were the people in Spider Friends?
Iceman and Firestar.
So that's where good old Firestar came. It's not the same Firestar in the live chat, but there she is. That's right. Iceman and Firestar. Firestar fly around with the flames, and Iceman would make the old ice and ski around on it. That was one of my favorite cartoons, I think. I really do. I just enjoyed how those three interacted with each other.
Yeah, it was a good show. And I loved how their living room would turn into like their superhero base and everything would flip out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, Aunt May's coming. We better flip it back up.
Duke Tomlinson's in the house. Good to see you, saying hi to the Nightbot. Yep. Say hi to the Nightbot. And it'll, follow me, fellas, on Facebook, Twitter, and Skype. If you guys got toys out there, if you guys got anything you want to share on the show, slide into my DMs. I appreciate it. Collectibles, we can't have collectibles in box at my house. Huh. Those shows.
I open them and let them breathe too, man. They're toys. They're meant to be played with.
True, very true. And that's a lot of old school collectors and people like us. You want to rip them out. You want to play with them. That's why I understand the rarity, because most people do open the things and play with them.
Yeah.
So if you have stuff from way back in the day that's unopened, that's really. Oh, I love the Wonder Twin powers activate. Form of a bucket of water.
Yep.
Or whatever. An iceberg. What cartoon was that from? Was it just
Challenge of the Super Friends?
That's it. So we're just going over a bunch of the different Spider-Man toys, and you can see how, as we talked about, they do stay the same. And there's the one I just showed you earlier, guys, hanging over here.
Yep, from the first movie.
There's Charlie Seasall. Good to see you, Charlie. I see all you too. Good to see you, my friend. Big Chuck D, thank you for that. Wonder Pin powers activate, Goddess says. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. That takes me back. What about this one? This is the second movie?
Yep.
And what comes with? Is this something that comes with him?
It's hard to tell in that one.
And that says 39 points of articulation. That's crazy. See, that's what I mean. Like these old ones, I talked about it back in the day. You would have shoulder, elbow, maybe wrist. This one doesn't even have wrist, hip, and knee. And that's only a handful. Not even the head. Well, it kind of rotates. But 39 points of articulation is insane. I guess each finger probably moves on him.
Yeah, and the toes. You'll have.
What the hell you need to move Spider-Man's toes for?
So you can put him in all the crazy poses he gets to in the comic books and the movies.
Very true. Very true. Duke Tomlinson, big fan of Spider-Man and Captain America. We'll do some more Spider-Man stuff here as we continue.
Yeah, Captain America is actually my favorite Marvel character.
Really? That's interesting. Yep. Good. And then we got Pete said his comic book collection made up for it. Yeah, I showed a couple comics earlier, and like I said, I collect them just for the art. I'm not really into the reading like a lot of people are. There's Jester. Good to see you. Yeah, see, Shulky, the same thing. I haven't heard Wonder Twin in years. That's good shit.
Yeah. Wonder Twins were interesting.
Okay, now we're getting into the video games, and this was very interesting. Luckily, I found and just a little hint into the future. This Thursday, one of the features we're going to talk about on the WrestleSense podcast is wrestling stables. So groups of stables that are out there, and I had to find a bunch of different stables and pictures and stuff. Same thing with the Nintendo one. The Nintendo one later on, like you see the picture of the box and you see the actual game. But when we do the Nintendo one, I had to piece them all together, and there's 40 of them. It took a while. But this game, I remember this game. Do you remember this one?
I had that game.
Now, very simple, but you just where Spider-Man climbed up, and back in 82.
Yep, dodging people, throwing stuff out the windows. And then when you got up to the top, you had the Green Goblin going back and forth, and you had to get up to the door to start it all over again.
Now, I think it was the same. There wasn't different levels with different buildings or anything, was there? It's the same thing, wasn't it?
I want to think the buildings changed colors, but it was pretty much the same idea. Like every level is based. I mean, old Atari games didn't get too in depth.
Yeah, exactly.
Variety.
Exactly. We were just happy to have a game of Spider-Man at this point. But there's your
cool to be able to play it at home.
Parker Brothers Atari 2600.
Yep.
Let's keep it going and go through it. This is 84. See, now I didn't have all these games, so I don't remember a lot of them. This one looks like it might be based off of a comic.
If I remember, I kind of remember those vaguely. Like, I think they were mostly text based, and like they show pictures here and there, and they may have came with a comic if I remember correctly.
Yeah, if you look at the bottom, it looks like this one for platforms was based off of PC because DOS and Commodore 64 and Apple II. So that would be probably one of the first, or if not the first, Spider-Man game for PC.
Yeah.
The games now are so amazing, the Spider-Man ones. Dr. Doom's Revenge. This looks like a left-right scrolling game like a lot of the games we'll see in Nintendo.
Oh, not even. I remember playing, like, it may have been different on other versions, but I remember playing that, and it was basically just
one screen.
Was you fighting one bad guy. It was like you just automatically went to the boss fight.
The bottom right picture reminds me of Russian Attack, which you remember that game. We'll talk about that when we get to Nintendo. But that was 1989. Oh, wait, this is Atari. Amiga. Wow, that's a blast from the past there. Amiga.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man game. This is in 1990. And you start to see how it gets a little more detail, different screens, different games, different levels. James Money, good to see you. Welcome in. Just to give you a good idea, no matter what game you're thinking of, just how through the years the game started to develop and be even more crazy.
Yeah, the Game Boy Spider-Man.
Oh, I was going to say why it looks so plain. It's a Game Boy game. I was going to say we went from a bunch of color to just so this, I believe, probably might be one of the first Game Boy games for Spider-Man.
It was, and the game was terrible.
A lot of those Game Boy games were very frustrating because I get it. You wanted to have a mobile, portable, handheld version of what you had in the Ataris and the Nintendos, but it did take a little bit away because they couldn't. Back then, they didn't have the microchips where they could get so much detail into the game.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely got a lot better from Game Boy Color on.
Let's keep on moving. We have Spider-Man vs. Kingpin. I don't really remember this game, but it looks like Sega Genesis. I didn't have a Genesis, that's why.
I only played that one a couple of times. I had some friends that had Genesis.
Yeah, I did the same thing. We talked about this before, too. One had ColecoVision, one had Intellivision, one had Sega. My brother had a Sega eventually, but we were Nintendo and Commodore 64. 1991, Spider-Man, the video game. Sega. Oh, this is an arcade Sega Master System 32.
Yeah, I remember playing that one in the arcade and just being really confused about the characters they gave you to play as.
A lot of you guys out there might have this nowadays too, but back in the day when the malls were a lot bigger and arcades were a lot bigger, and I did take a trip to my local mall here today when I did my roundabouts, and they just we have a mall that used to it's not a huge mall, but it had maybe 60 stores in it. And I used to work when I worked at Verizon Wireless in that mall, and it used to be a buzzing. Now almost 75% are empty spots, but they did have an arcade. I was very impressed that we had an arcade back in there again. I think our
arcades nowadays though they're not the same as when we were kids.
No.
Many video games. It's a lot of the games that give you tickets and.
Blazing Flippers, I think, was one of them, and Pocket Change was one. I'm trying to remember the names of the arcades. They were all different names. So this is another Game Boy game, Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 1992. Yeah. Return of the Sinister Six. Do you know who the Sinister Six are?
Yeah. Oh, which version?
I see some of them there. Is Doc Ock one of them?
Was it Doc Ock? Like Doc Ock was the end of that game. That game is terrible, but I did beat as a kid. Was it Electro, Sandman, Hobgoblin, Vulture, Doc Ock, and I can't remember who the sixth one was in that game now.
Duke Tomlinson's out there hitting on Nightbot. His name is Johnny Five from the old movie, so that's what I call him. No disassemble, he always says. I don't know what that means. Screw him. We got Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
In 92.
Yeah, Arcade's Revenge. Yep. That game was terrible too, but I remember playing the hell out of it.
It says NES and Sega. As they started to have a lot more of those games would be, depending on who made them, I guess. If it's made by that even some of the ones that were made from a specific company, I think they made some for the other consoles too, right?
Yeah, a lot of the games would be on multiple consoles, but unfortunately, LJN made a lot of those early games, and they were terrible.
Rhino is another one. There you go. See, people out there helping
Rhino
us.
was the one I was forgetting. Yes.
There we go. See, gotta love the chat out there. I played Maximum Carnage and Separation Anxiety only because of Venom. There you go.
Because you got to play as Venom, yeah.
Electro, Doc, Sand, Scorpion, Mysterio, and Hobgoblin. Nice. And like you said, there was different versions of the 6 as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3, Invasion of the Slayers. That's in our Game Boy one. Yep.
Yeah.
You can tell by the black and whiteness. All right, let's see what else. There's the Maximum Carnage Genesis game from 94.
Yep. I remember that was a big deal because it had a red cartridge.
Very cool.
And I think it came with a comic book too. I never owned it. I always rented the game, so I'm not 100% sure.
Now, I dig the cover art on that one. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
That's amazing. Lethal Foes, 1995. Get ready, Madness Elite. If you want to see some Donkey Kong and some Nintendo, we'll be covering that in the video game part. We try to make these an hour, but with Spider-Man and Nintendo, it's probably going to be about 2 hours again.
Yeah.
And by all means, if you guys are watching the replay, because I'll share the hell out of this again, please leave us a comment. Let us know what toys, what cartoons, comic books you collected, and send me pictures. This is Separation Anxiety. It looks like what he was talking about earlier.
Yep.
95 for the NES, Super NES. We're going to go back to the original Nintendo where it all started. Animated series 95 Spider-Man, Super NES.
Yeah, I remember that one pretty.
A lot of people remember it here. Amazing Spider-Man versus Kingpin was great. Cool animated sequences in it too. Very cool,
Yeah,
Joe. Thank you.
I think that was the one for Sega CD, wasn't it?
Very cool. See, I love when the chat has knowledge and sharing it with us.
Oh yeah, Joe's a very knowledgeable guy. Like I said, if we ever decide to revisit He-Man and do like a proper He-Man episode like we are with Spider-Man, I would love to have him on because he blows me away when it comes to knowledge.
Sweet. We'd love to have him on sometime too, man. It'd be great. I'm more than welcome to have people on if they want to. One thing I did do, and you guys can find a lot of them here on YouTube, is retro toy games, different podcasts and stuff. I found some really interesting ones out there and followed them and subscribed to them and dropped the Legion of Dork comment. Maybe we can, share some between a lot of the podcasters out there to do. What was the one that I told you that was, he's got like over 100,000 subscribers.
Oh, you sent me a few of them, so I'm not 100%.
There was one you said you liked him a lot, and it was
the
one.
Pixel Dan.
Yeah, Pixel Dan seemed to be, he had a lot of great content on there. So there's a lot of great content creators out there that have already been doing what we're doing. We're just kind of doing overviews, but I wish we would have started this before. I'm glad we're even doing it. But here's Web of Fire in 96. Sega 32X, is that a different type of Sega?
It was an add-on for the Genesis that bumped it up graphically. Like that game I don't remember. I don't think I ever played that one.
Here's more Sinister Six here. From 96, MS-DOS game. And correct me if I'm wrong, but back in the day, some of the PC or DOS games had a little more capability because they were based out of a computer based against some of the consoles.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Nintendo was only an 8-bit. Even back then, computers were more powerful than that.
I don't have my floppy disks on me now to show like I did last time. And I'm not talking 3.5 floppy disks. I'm talking big floppies, the old school ones. So Spider-Man 2000. This is PlayStation, so we're into the PlayStation era now.
Yeah, that was a fun game. I remember it had all kinds of like alternate costumes. I used to love running around with the bag head.
Cool. And another Sinister Six in 2001. Now, is that a left-right scrolling one? I can't tell. I never played a lot of these, but.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think I played that one.
Shulky, feel free to send more photos. Not too many, though. I open up a can of worms.
We love show and tell, man.
Yeah, please send all you can. Spider-Man 2, Enter Electro. PS1. We're into PlayStation games now in 2001. Mysterio's Menace. What's that say? CBA? Not sure what that is.
GBA, Game Boy Advance.
Game Boy Advance. Made by Activision. There you go. That one looks all right. Not too bad.
Yeah, I never got to play that one.
So the Game Boy Advance was the first one that started having like color and stuff?
No, that would have been the Game Boy Color.
Gotcha.
I think Game Boy Advance was after.
Because the graphics in that one looks pretty damn good. A lot better than the original Game Boy stuff we showed earlier. Spider-Man 2002 PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah, the first Tobey Maguire movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You could see the graphics starting.
Or used to have it.
You could see the graphics starting to get a lot better, too, in 2002. And PlayStation 2, Spider-Man 2 movie. This one's based off the movie, Nacho?
Yep. That game was amazing. They finally did it open world, so you could just wander around, not even worrying about the story, and just save people and web swing. He got to deliver pizzas like he did in the movie.
Sweet.
There was just so much goofy stuff to it.
Yeah, we're getting into the newer stuff now, Cody. We start from way back in the day, and we're getting up into that one looks pretty damn cool there. Ultimate Spider-Man 2005, PlayStation 2.
That was a really fun game. You got to play as Venom, and Spider-Man, back and forth. That was a fun game.
Another Game Boy Advance, Battle of New York 2006. Not bad. Is that the Hulk in there?
Looks like it might be.
Yeah.
I never got to play that one either, so I'm not too knowledgeable about that particular game.
One based off of Spider-Man 3. We'll be talking about all the movies here very soon. 2007, Friend or Foe, the Wii. Is that thing even still out there? Does it still make the Wii?
No, they're up 2 systems past that now. But I did have that one. My son played the hell out of that one.
Nintendo DS, Web of Shadows game, 2008. Just looking at the evolution of the games is enough for me just to see how they compare. And this one says BlackBerry, so this was a phone game.
Oh, yeah, there was quite a few mobile games, like for Spider-Man. Well, actually, for a lot of Marvel characters.
There's Kelly. Welcome in, Kelly. Good to see you. Kelly closing out another BMWF show over there where Super Nacho throws me out of another Rumble, for fuck's sake. Game Gear from Sega was the first color portable beat Game Boy Color by a few years. There you go.
Yeah. There's also the Atari Lynx, too.
Ooh, I do remember that. Android, so another mobile game here. Total Mayhem in 2010.
That one I did play. I didn't get very far in it, but I do remember playing that one.
You see tons of games. Like we said earlier, everything Spider-Man. Nintendo DS, 2010, Shattered Dimensions.
Yeah, I mean, there's been 39 Spider-Man video games across 48 platforms, 16 different publishers. I mean, yeah.
That's crazy.
It's insane. I mean, like I keep saying, he's Marvel's cash cow.
I wonder how that ranks against other superheroes that have games and stuff. I wonder where that ranks.
I think he might top it. Like Batman might be close, but not like Spider-Man.
Nintendo DS Edge of Time 2011. We're getting in there. We're getting up there. Nintendo DS Amazing Spider-Man 2012.
Yeah, that's for the Garfield movies.
Another mobile game here. Windows, Android, and iOS. Spider-Man Unlimited 2014. Amazing Spider-Man 2 2014. So did you see the movies came out, then they had all these based off the movies as well, and we'll get into the movies here shortly. 2018, we're almost here. PlayStation 4, Marvel's Spider-Man.
See, I never played that one because I don't have PlayStation.
I think I've seen it.
It's supposed to be really
people
good.
Streaming some of these newer games. That one, I saw people streaming some of it. I think
they look
Grinder
like
Gang. Chance. I think Chance Grinder Gang had streamed that one before or something. This one last year, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. So this one's pretty damn new. That might be the last game.
Yeah, that's the most recent one.
Very cool. So here we go back to movies and TV. We showed the commercial earlier, but there you have a little old school Spider-Man from the late 70s.
Yep, 1977, the year I was born.
And I had to have this screenshot. Look at that.
Yeah, his webs were rope.
That's hilarious. Thriller streamed it too. There you go. I knew someone streamed it, Clinton, and you see everybody stream. I knew someone was streaming that Spider-Man game from 2018. That's funny. I just like how some of that looks. And then we get into the original Spider-Man movie.
First Tobey Maguire.
2002. Now, some of these aren't in chronological order, and some of them aren't the real, but I got most of them here. So Spider-Man 2 in 2004. Doc Ock was badass in that one. I like
that. That's my favorite Spider-Man villain, and that guy nailed it. Alfred Molina was perfect.
Spider-Man 3, 2007.
Yeah.
Some people were critical of the first set of these three movies. I enjoyed them because they were Spider-Man.
I feel like Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker, but he was a terrible Spider-Man because no jokes. I mean, he was a generic hero. He had nothing that made him Spider-Man other than the costume and powers. But his Peter was fine.
I never thought his Peter was fine.
When he was Peter, he was fine. But the minute he put the suit on, he was just generic action hero.
When it comes to Spider-Man and me, I got blinders. I'm just happy that there's a Spider-Man movie. And, I don't get as critical. But when people bring things up, I mean, I can understand a little better, that you put it that way. And like I said at the very beginning, the one-liners is what I love about Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's not Spider-Man if he's not busting jokes and making fun of the bad guy. I mean, I think over the course of those 3 movies, he made one joke.
Yeah.
When he webbed Jonah's mouth up and said, "Quiet, the grown-ups are talking."
Yeah, true enough. Now that you're saying that, it does stick out that not as many one-liners or jokes in it. Now, here's the Amazing Spider-Man 2012.
He busted jokes.
Yeah. He was too good-looking to be a Peter Parker, though. Like, he didn't look as nerdy.
That he couldn't get chicks until.
Yeah. So
I did really appreciate
Gwen
them
Stacy.
Gwen in instead of jumping right to Mary Jane.
Yes, I did like that. A little different part of the story. And that's another thing. I have a lot of friends that get critical about it too, but I like them showing different versions of Spider-Man. So I'll never complain that there was a dozen Spider-Man movies or whatever. Well, coming up on a dozen. So Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I was going to mention the Electric Company when he was talking about the show, but.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yep. Spider-Man cartoon. I think Spider-Man in the Electric Company. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
He didn't talk. I remember it was always like word balloons, but everybody else in the Spidey skits would talk. Those were great.
See, Alfie says she liked the Amazing Spider-Man's movies the best. Yeah, those were good.
Yeah, now we get into the current run with Tom Holland.
Which he's awesome. I dig what he's doing. We had Homecoming in 2017, Far From Home here in 2019.
Now we got No Way Home coming pretty soon here.
Yep. I got one of those here somewhere, I believe. Into the Spider-Verse, though, before we get to that, I do want to talk about
that coming out.
Yeah, so Enter the Spider-Verse, I might have a picture of that. An animated movie in 2018. So like I said, it's not in perfect chronological order, a little bit out of order, but I had to touch base on this. When this came out, I was a little skeptical. I was like, oh, it's another cartoon. But when I watched this movie, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, even the pork or pig or whatever they call it.
I loved seeing Spider-Ham. I used to collect
Spider-Ham
as a kid. I love Spider-Ham so much.
Seeing the different versions of Spider-Man come together was very cool to me, very interesting. And then I think we're going to get that in a new movie as well.
Oh, yeah, there's going to be more of that. Like they're bringing in Spider-Man 2099.
There's the tease for Into the Spider-Verse 2.
Yep, so there's 2099. They're supposed to be bringing in the Japanese live-action Spider-Man.
Spider-Man Japanese show.
Something
good. Andy Price, good to see you, man.
Yeah, he had a giant robot like a Power Ranger.
Spider-Man needs a wrestler, a call. We'll put D-Train in he's hamming it up enough. He can be in one. That movie's amazing, pun intended. Oh, come on, you get it. Shulky. The power of the pun compels you, Shulky. That's a good one, though. Let's see what else I got in here. And there's No Way Home, a new movie coming out, and that's this week, I believe.
I think so.
Very, very perfect timing for us to cover Spider-Man today. There's a Across the Spider-Verse also coming out soon as well, I believe, more animated movie. I think I have more than one of Far From Home, and I may have a picture of Across from Spider-Verse. I'm not sure. There's another No Way From Home. So they show the tease of all these villains all in one, which I can't wait to see how they incorporate all the villains at once.
Yeah, I think they're trying to make up for all the failed attempts at doing Sinister Six. So I think
good point.
What they're trying to do.
The 17th when it comes out. There you go. So yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was coming out anytime soon.
This Friday, yep. So I heard people talking about it when I was doing research, and I saw some stuff, and I'm thinking, man, this is perfect timing for us to cover Spider-Man. And like I said, it's getting late in the night. We're going to talk about Nintendo here to close it out and bring a guest or two on. But this is the tease that you have for the new movie. All 3 Spider-Mans in one, and I can't wait to see how they pull it off. I'll be satisfied no matter what.
Don't get your hopes up. That's not confirmed.
Yeah, I know it isn't confirmed, but I'm really thinking that they're going to do it. I mean, you're getting all the bad guys, and I've reading some of the little dirt sheets out there that say, more than likely it's going to happen. But I also see reason why not to confirm it. Keep the suspense.
Yeah, my guess is if it does happen, it's probably going to be at the end of the movie, like maybe Doctor Strange pulls them from their universes to help with the last battle.
Good idea. And I like, I'd rather it do that way than try to work all 3 into the movie the whole way through, because then you're going to want more.
Yeah, and they are going forward with Tom Holland, because they did announce that they've got another trilogy.
He's great. It seems to be the consensus out there. A lot of people like the Tom Holland character because I think he encompasses the dorky, nerdy Peter Parker.
And for once, we're actually getting Peter Parker in high school. Like, the Tobey Maguire, like, he was only in high school for part of the first movie, and then they, jumped into college. And, same thing with Andrew Garfield. He was only in high school in the first movie, and then he was in college. It's kind of nice to see a formative years Spider-Man where he's still in high school for the majority.
Yes, sir. So Spider-Man in a nutshell, in an hour or so, and that's a lot of Spider-Man stuff. And like me and Nacho were talking about doing the research, we could have done 4 or 5 hours on Spider-Man.
Oh, easily.
It doesn't mean it's going to be the end of good old Spidey. We'll cover more Spidey stuff. So don't worry, buddy. You're not going anywhere. And anybody out there, you got Spider-Man toys, Spider-Man stuff, send us pictures. Slide them into my DMs and let me know. But now, let's get into video games and Nintendo. The original Nintendo. We'll be right. The good old 8-bit music rocking. We had people in the green room dancing. We were kicking it here. This is video games. We talked about the Atari 2600 on the first stream. So if you guys missed it, definitely check out the channel, roll it back, watch the first episode of the Legion of Dork, where we tapped on the thing that really hooked me on video games. I'm not a huge gamer like a lot of people think I am because I stream wrestling games. But like I said, my brother was so good at them that I just couldn't compete. But I love the idea behind them. I love the nostalgia that we have now in video games. What systems? You said this before, Nacho, but you were like me, Nintendo and Atari, or no?
Yeah, I had an Atari 2600, ColecoVision. I had an Intellivision, an NES, Super Nintendo, GameCube, Wii U, Switch.
The Switch looks really cool. I never got into that, but it looks really cool.
It's a lot of fun. My daughter loves it.
Yeah, the new She-Hulk trailer. I'm sure there's someone out there who's pretty excited about that coming out. So before we get into the Nintendo slideshow and talk about it, We have to take it back. We have to go all the way back. Here's a commercial, the original Nintendo console commercial from back in the day. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more.
Will you be the one to witness the birth of the incredible Nintendo Entertainment System? The one to play with Rob, the extraordinary video robot, batteries not included. He helps you tackle even the toughest challenge. Will you be the first to raise the incredibly accurate Zapper and play games like Duck Hunt or action-packed Hogan's Alley and high-flying Kung Fu, each sold separately? Will you be the one to experience the Nintendo Entertainment System? Comes with Rob, Zapper, Control Deck, 2 controllers, Gyromite, and Duck Hunt.
That's old school. I
Yeah,
didn't get
Rob
the
robot.
I didn't get the deluxe version, so we never had Rob the Robot. And we'll talk about some of the games. I know there's only a couple that had the robot.
2.
Yeah.
There was only 2 games for Rob the Robot, so you really weren't missing out on anything.
Yeah. Now the gun, of course, you had to have that for Duck Hunt.
Oh yeah, there's like 17 games that one worked with, so you had to have that.
We'll be talking about that there, Ripper. I'm looking at Super Nacho calling Ripper. What I did was go all the way back, and October 18th, 1985, is when the original Nintendo system came out. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you got details in front of you.
Well, technically 83, but the Japanese version, the Famicom, it didn't release to other markets until 85.
Got you. There you go. See, that's why I got you here, my friend, to correct me. Well, and over here it was June 1st, 86 is when it shows that these first 17 games came out. And I went all the way to the end of 1987 because if I kept going, we'd be here for 6 hours just on Nintendo. But I have
716 official games released for the NES.
Wow. That's crazy. And NES is really where it took off. Yeah, Gauntlet was one of my favorites too, Chuck D. So before we get into these 40 different games, we're going to have another commercial. Stick around.
ファミリーコンピューターに夢の大冒険ゲームスーパーマリオブラザーズ秘密の力で大きく変身地上に地下に海に空に次々に展開する不思議な世界スーパーマリオブラザーズ
I had to do the Japanese version. That's classic. We're going to keep it rolling. We're going to do one more before we get to the actual slideshow. Well, maybe you're hungry. You guys hungry?
Currency barrel of fun for breakfast. Donkey Kong cereal.
Mario, save me! Kids, I'm gonna jump, you're gonna crunch. Here we go!
Donkey Kong.
More crunch!
Donkey Kong cereal.
Happy day! Donkey Kong!
Donkey Kong cereal is part of this complete breakfast. You love the crunch.
Watch Zelda become a legend on your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda! After rocks!
Which way to
Go! Good times! Peahens! Levers! Zelda! Zelda! Zelda!
The Legend of Zelda. A never-ending adventure new for your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda!
Zelda! That's great.
I love that commercial so much.
Yeah,
it was very
really
confusing as a kid, though, when that game first came out, because it's like, what the hell is going on? And then, like, when you finally played the game, it was so badass.
The rocks. He looks like the guy from Saturday Night Live, and this is the time on Sprockets when we dance. Just dressed in the black outfit.
Yes, he does.
See, big fans of Zelda down there. Shulky like that commercial. Donkey Kong is great. Donkey Kong and Zelda, those are iconic.
Yeah, like I said, Legend of Zelda is my favorite video game franchise. They're the only. That's the only reason I buy Nintendo systems is so I can play whatever new Zelda game comes out.
Well, that was like I guess like a Dungeons and Dragons type world, going into different places, finding a bunch of different. There was so many different levels and layers in that game.
Yeah, and then after you beat it, you got to play the second quest, and they moved everything around, so it was like a whole new game.
That game was groundbreaking. I didn't really play it a lot. Like I said, once again, my brother was into all these games. He won those and the Mario games and all those a million times over. But just watching what you could do in that Zelda game was very interesting. It was very, very cool. Let's see. We have Cody saying there's a Wonder Woman console game coming out in 2022. Very good. They just had the Video Game Awards. Donkey Kong, a lot of people's favorite. We'll be talking about that very soon. We're going to go ahead and bring out all the video game stuff now and talk about Nintendo, the original Nintendo games. Let's check them out. There's the classic system along with the deluxe. Like I said, I didn't get to have the deluxe, but I think the only thing extra was the robot.
Yeah, the robot, and I think it had 3 games on it instead of 2.
So let's start with 10-yard fight. We're going to go in alphabetical order for the first 17.
Yeah.
So football, if you will. And we talked about the last show how those big electronic football games were very popular in the late 70s and the 70s, where I had one where you basically just laid them on a big vibrating piece of sheet metal and turned the vibration on, and wherever they went, they went. Very, very primitive, but fun. If you made it fun. So 10-yard fight, one of the first games that came out for Super Nintendo. And the quality of some of these aren't going to be that great, but man, did I play the shit out of this baseball game. I was huge into the actual sports games, and I still am to today. If you want to ask me what type of gamer I am, I played sports games mostly, still to this day. So this baseball game was a classic to me. One of my faves. I'm very simple. Now this one, I don't think I ever played.
Yeah, I didn't play that one either. I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never played it. I think it was like a puzzle kind of game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Clue Land. It looks like Cuckoo Land. Like a kind of I don't know what the hell is up with that game. All right, let's get to the classics. Duck Hunt, of course. Yep. With the gun. One of my faves. It was very fun to play.
I was always pissed you couldn't shoot the damn dog.
Yeah. Now, I didn't know this, and I forget what it is, but I think the other controller controlled something.
The ducks.
Yeah, okay.
You could put the gun right up to the TV and you'd never miss, no matter what.
That was another thing. My sister
figured that one out real quick.
This cheat codes were born. So, yeah, it's... when you played with your friends, you had to make sure they didn't do that shit, or else, F that dog. Shucky hates the dog. I think you're not alone. Let's keep it rolling with Nintendo games here. A lot of great Nintendo. This one, I love the fact you could create your own course.
Yeah, that was the best part of that game.
I
wasn't very good at the game itself, so I would just make courses.
It could get frustrating, very frustrating. But Excite Bike, a classic, great game from the original 17. Golf, and if you play Tiger Woods and some of the newer games that come out now, the evolution of the golf games is really wow.
Yeah, I had that one, but could never figure it out. My dad was good at it, but I could never actually play that game.
Like here back in the day, you had the little power meter. You had to hit it right to get a good shot, but you didn't have backspin. You didn't have the wind and a lot of stuff they do in the newer games that really bring realism to the golf games nowadays.
That game had wind in it.
Did it? Oh yeah, it did. It says wind right there.
You could change out your clubs, so you actually had to know golf, and I think that was my biggest problem with it as a kid. It's
one of the games where you could control the ball in the air, though.
I don't remember.
Remember a game where you can control the ball in the air, and it kind of took the fun out of it. I don't know if it was that one or a different one. This is the one with the robot, I guess. So you see it right on the game box.
Yeah, like I said, there was only 2 games for the robot. This was the one that came with it. You could buy that game separately, and in the pack-in with the robot, the set that came with the robot, instead of like Mario and Duck Hunt, You got Mario, Duck Hunt, and Gyromite. All
That's how they got you that extra 20, 30, 40, whatever it was, dollars to get the
Yeah,
deluxe.
I feel bad for the people who got suckered into buying that one because, like I said, there's only 2 games for that damn robot.
Well, if you go back to that age and you say you're getting a robot,
Yeah, everybody's like, "Holy shit, that's awesome!"
Another gun game here, basically just shoot 'em up, pop 'em up, shoot 'em up. Hogan's Alley. I remember it, not really that vividly, but another game with the classic gun. Not Hulk Hogan, just Hogan.
Yeah, I loved that game.
Hogan's Heroes, very cool. Ice Climber.
That was another fun one.
Yeah, because I believe the ice was slippery as shit too.
Yep.
So it made it a little more difficult.
Yeah, it had actual physics to it. Make you slide around.
Kung Fu was a fun one.
Yep.
Very fun.
That was a great game.
Now, not like this isn't the one I was thinking of. Was it Legend of Gaiden or whatever we were talking about before? I forget.
Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden, where you throw those stars. My brother's gonna hate me for not knowing the name of that one. It was one of our favorites. Skate or Die, yeah, Chuck D.
That was a good fun one.
Tetris, definitely a classic. Definitely. Well, we're before both of those games that we're talking here. These are the first games that came out for Nintendo. Pinball. I didn't care that it was that simple. I love pinball.
Yeah, I love pinball. So.
I really do. It doesn't matter what type, but I mean, you incorporate Super Mario, and that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like it's got Mario running around the little thing. I mean, how can you not like it?
Yeah, very cool. So, and even nowadays, I could play pinball until the cows come home. Soccer, I wasn't into it big, but there's your first soccer game. Now the FIFA games and stuff they got today, it looks like you're watching soccer and stuff. There's But there you go, 8-bit Fury and Frenzy, fun times there, way back in the day. That's up this
one for the robot.
So here's the other robot game, apparently, which I didn't really give 2 shits about. I guess we were smart enough not to realize that 2 games isn't worth it. But it's a robot, damn it! And in the iconic Super Mario Brothers, I do have a question though, and we'll come to it when we start with the Donkey Kong. I might as well get it now. Super Mario's came out first, and then Mario Brothers came out after it.
Nope, Mario Brothers came out before Super Mario Brothers.
Wow.
So Mario Brothers was the first appearance of Luigi.
Okay.
And originally in Donkey Kong, he wasn't called Mario. He was just called Jumpman.
Oh. There's tennis. I played a lot of tennis.
Yeah, that was another one I could never figure out, but
it was all angles and a lot of physics in this too, because depending on how your guy was moving and where it hit on your racket, depending on where it went. So this one had a nice little intriguing part to it that made it a little more challenging, but that's a good thing in games. You don't want it to be too easy. We continue here. These are all the first set of games. Wild Gunman, another shoot 'em up with the classic Nintendo gun.
Yeah.
And then the last one of the first 17, Wrecking Crew.
I remember that one too.
The screenshot reminds me of one of my favorites we'll talk about in a little bit is Burger Time.
Yeah. It was kind of similar, like you knocked the building down.
Well, now let's get to the another classic, another vintage game that iconic in itself, the original Donkey Kong. I used to get really pissed off because I wasn't that good at Donkey Kong, and you get up there and you get burnt, or you didn't have the hammer. It was very frustrating. Those damn barrels will get you.
I played it more in the arcade and on the Atari than on the NES.
Donkey Kong Jr. I really enjoyed this game. I did.
That was a lot of fun.
The twist on the game was awesome.
Yeah, that Mario was the bad guy in this game.
Very, very, very cool, Donkey Kong Jr. And I remember some of the pinball machines that were after Donkey Kong 2. I enjoyed those.
There was also Donkey Kong 3.
There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Donkey Kong 3, even more different. They kept it. Well, they knew they found something good, so why not keep going with it? So I get it. Donkey Kong was a big deal back then. It still is now.
Well, the thing is back then, like, games didn't really get sequels, so they didn't have that whole idea in their head that, sequels needed to be like the first one. Like, look how different Zelda 2 is from the first Zelda.
Very
It's
good
because they
point.
didn't want to deliver the exact same game, so they tried to do something different every time.
Very good point. Very good point. So Donkey Kong 1, 2, and 3, and you can't forget Donkey Kong Jr. Math.
God,
so why
yeah.
not educate yourself at the same time while you're playing video games, right?
That was a way to sell it to parents. Oh, video games rot your brain, but this one teaches you math, Mom.
Yeah, so these were like as far as the dates that I found were like a second run of the ones they released, most of them around June of 86 up to this balloon fight. That was the Donkey Kongs. And still a couple more. Hold on. I'm not done. This is one of my favorites if it's next. Yes, I love Popeye.
Yes, that was one of the ones I had for my Commodore.
Yeah, Diddy Kong. Here you go. Yeah, Popeye catching the floating hearts, getting away from Brutus. Oh, and trying to find all of it. That was a very cool game. Very kind of Donkey Kong-esque.
Yeah. And there's a new Popeye game for the Switch, and from what I understand, it sucks ass, so don't spend your money on it.
And then, of course, don't fall off the bottom into the water. So I enjoyed that. Was a good one. So this is the original Mario Brothers.
Yep.
And I may have the dates mixed up, but it showed that this one came out for the Nintendo after Super.
Yeah, it was released for the home system after Super Mario Brothers, but arcades, this was first.
Okay, so that now makes sense. That was my question. When I went through this, I'm thinking, okay, October 18th, 1985, they released those 17, and Super Mario Brothers was on it. And then here comes Mario Brothers in June of 86. I was like, wait a minute, doesn't make sense. But now that you mentioned arcade, because back then, people, arcades were first and then video games. So it wasn't like they made arcade games off of video games. No, it was the arcades were first. Arcades were first and foremost where you got your video game playing.
And it was where they pushed the technology for it, too. Especially Sega.
Dragon's Lair is one I always like to bring up.
Oh, yep. That was, I think that was a laser disc.
A very interactive arcade game because you chose where it went. It showed the actual like cartoon scenes, so it looked a lot different than the 8-bit and the stuff you were used to.
Yeah, like that, and what was the other one? Space Ace. They were basically interactive cartoons, and like
Legend
the best
of Cage,
part.
Another good one.
Yeah, the best part of Dragon's Lair is all the ways he dies.
Yeah,
it's like so entertaining. Like I found a video on YouTube that was just a collection of all of his death scenes. It's so entertaining.
They made an arcade series for the NES. Yeah, that's another thing. I talked about it a little bit the last show, that the emulators that are out there now, which now with technology, I mean, you had cartridges before that were just one game. Now you had a CD, and my brother had over 500 different games. And some of them now have 10,000, 5,000 games on one, where you have all the Atari games, all the Nintendo games, all the Sega games, all on one freaking disc. That blows my mind.
Or those Raspberry Pi things.
Yes. Yep, those two. The Gumshoe, another shooting game with the gun. I don't remember playing that one as much.
Vaguely, I remember that one. That might have been a rental.
Mach Rider. Now, I'm another one that's big on the racing games. I like racing and sports. So racing games normally got me. I enjoyed a lot. Afterburner at the video arcades was one of my favorites. Afterburner. I loved it.
Afterburner was fun. This game always just reminded me of Pole Position, but with motorcycles.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Pole Position was a great one, too.
Yeah. And this was basically just Pole Position with motorcycles.
So Urban Champion, this is on my list, August of 86.
Yep. That was like one of the first beat-em-ups.
Yep. I mean, at first it's like, oh, you just beat the hell out of people in the streets here, I guess. We like violence. Why not? This is when violence in video games started, people. Nowadays, all the first person shooter games and stuff. Here's where it started. Now we go to some wrestling games. Tag team wrestling.
Yes. I remember that game was so terrible, but I remember playing the shit out of it.
So if you're new to the channel, or most people that are out there, if you're watching the replay or anything, we do WWE 2K19. And the video games that I still say to this point, 2022 is going to be huge for wrestling video games. I really believe that the AEW game is going to be good. The 2K22 has to be good because of no 21 and how 20 was such a fart. And the wrestling code, and there's a couple other video games that are going to be put out too. I think 2022 is going to be huge for wrestling video games, especially for what we do is take it to another level and not only play the game, but create our own characters and make our own universe. I love to call it a mix of Dungeons and Dragons and wrestling, basically, because in D&D, you create your own character. You give it different points for different things. So some of the similarities between, you don't have as much control in some of these games, obviously, that you would in a D&D game. But
you're talking D&D.
There you go. But you have a person like me leading you along the way of the journey. Nice. Oh, an old D&D book, man. Nice.
I have the core books for every edition of D&D from the beginning.
Now, see, my friends, we took the shortcut with D&D. We didn't get really into it like a lot of people nowadays and stuff like that. But we made our own rules, our own little board like most people do. But we didn't really follow everything in the books. We just went off on a whim and used our creation, our imagination. We didn't get into it correctly like D&D is supposed to be played, but we took the idea of D&D and just, went off on our own. And that's the beauty of that game is there was no really one set way to, you can mess with it however you want.
Well, yeah, like, I always liked that in the Dungeon Master's Guide, like even from the very beginning, it says, the rules in there are only guidelines. Whatever the DM, the guy running the game, whatever he says is the rules.
And that's why another reason why I compare it to what we do in the wrestling, because it's up to the guy running it to really bring the creativity and the imagination to it and help guide you along. And I could sit and watch people play D&D and really enjoy it, just watching how they interact and the creativity. And if you have a dungeon master, it's boring and just sits there and doesn't really get into it as much. You're not going to have as much fun. But once again, play it however you want.
Yeah, I'm usually the dungeon master when we play, unfortunately.
One of my favorites in 1943 also, but
yes,
1942 was a great game. I loved it. There you go. You got
awesome,
some D&D fans out there.
Yep.
Drunk D&D. There you go, Clint. Yes, indeed. Yeah. You add a little booze to any of the games to make it more interesting.
Back when elves, dwarves, and halflings were classes and not a race.
Wow. And that's another thing, too. It's like when we pick our wrestlers, we pick the type of wrestler, the size of the wrestler, the things it can do. So there's a lot of similarities, in my opinion, between D&D and what we do here in digital wrestling.
Well, D&D has had a huge effect on so much of the stuff we're talking about, video games especially. Like the idea of leveling up and...
Yeah, true.
Straight from D&D.
Yeah, it's very true. A good point. I played the hell out of this wrestling game, that's for sure. Pro wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I always liked Amazon biting the guy and...
Yep.
Was
this the one that had the Great Puma?
Yeah, Great Puma at the end.
Was at the end? Yeah, it's tough to get to. My brother, no problem.
Everybody's moves.
Yep. This is when... I wish there was a streaming version of this. I'd like to stream it and have AI. I don't know if you could do AI versus AI. And we could do. Well, I took it another level with this game a couple years ago. I don't know if you guys remember. You see, Chuck D got that game as too. That book that you showed off. Do you have a vid on your D&D stuff? Very cool, bro. I'll have to check that out. So a couple years ago with LTD leaning towards death wrestling, I took this cover and the idea and used it. And I'll show you right now what I mean. This is LTD's version.
Nice.
So I kind of took it, and I got another picture there where I took the logo and put it on the ref's head, and there's your boy Blaze there. So I had a little advertisement of pretending that we had an LTD wrestling video game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So
yeah, John Cena, has that T-shirt based on that too.
Yeah, true, very true. Well, I took it a little further too in the next one when we started getting tons of characters. Check this out. There you go. All the digital characters. This is from 2018. There's Super Nacho, and that is Judgment doing a back body drop there on Paragon of Greatness. So you may recognize some of the characters here. There's Lord Amadeus on the top. There's Blaze. There's Cowboy John. People that have been around since day one. I took a lot of the PNGs and posted it together for the fake version of the LTD wrestling Combat Kingdom Entertainment Blaze radio game. So I had some fun with that. And that's 18. I thought about streaming 2K18 and some of the old games I have too, and because I still have a bunch of characters on there. So stay tuned. You may see I guess 2018's retro games now.
Yeah, I guess technically it would be.
Yeah, Shulky's getting flashbacks. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is before I had the Battle Queen division, so not as many of them as we have nowadays. All right, Bone Dogs out there. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. One of my favorites of all time.
Oh, that game's so much fun.
Being able to jump up on the vehicles, jumping over people, ducking down below the missiles and stuff. Russian Attack was great. One of my all-time favorite games. Getting down to business, another one of my favorites here. One that'll bust your knuckles. Track and Field. You basically had to go back and forth, but some people would just end up taking their knuckles and just rubbing them into
keep it going. We did it with the fingers.
Yep. So once again, cheat codes, really primitive cheat codes back in the day, if you could. But the 100-meter dash is the regular one. But Track and Field, what I loved about it is you got a bunch of different games.
Yeah, it was like one of the first collections of mini games, if you really think about it.
True. So I mean, it kind of like the Olympics, and I showed you. On the last stream, my Commodore 64 stuff, summer games and winter games, I really loved on the Commodore 64 because the same idea. You got 6 or 7 or 10 or whatever games that you could play all in one video game. A lot of busted knuckles here. Yeah, Ripper's old look. Yeah, Ripper was on there. Your Ripper's first look. Yep. So Track and Field is a classic. This was another one of my favorites of all time, Burger Time.
So I played that one in the arcade, but I never played the NES version. Oh God, Castlevania. That.
Can I get back to Burger Time? I want to get back to Burger Time. Oh no, I want to talk about Burger Time. Damn it! All right. Oh, I have to keep doing that. Okay, Burger Time. There we go. So basically, yes, you built a burger, and you had to run over the item for it to drop down a level. Until you can build 4 burgers.
Dodge enemies trying to stop you the whole time.
What were they smoking when they made this game, man?
Let's make it so you can build a burger, dude.
And who puts? I guess you could put egg on your burger. I don't know. Teach us that. Hot dogs and eggs. The evolution of food.
These games are all made by Japanese people, and they put all kinds of weird stuff on their food from our perspective.
That's right. Yeah, that's right, Chuck D. Your fingers are definitely sore after Track and Field game stuff. Yeah, Castlevania was great. The music was amazing in Castlevania. Where
that game did such a great job of setting that mood, and the music was a big part of that. The music was appropriately creepy.
In my opinion, I think this is one of the games that really started to evolve, like you just said, creating the scene and the environment around based on the music. You can name a dozen other ones, but Castlevania, I think you could really tell where you were. Pitfall didn't have, if you could evolve Pitfall, because when you're down, under, below, and you're above, and other Super Mario, a lot of games had that. But I really, like you said, Castlevania nailed it. It was a great game. I think they made like a movie or a cartoon out of it too.
There's a Netflix anime series. It's the same people who did the recent Masters of the Universe Revelation did the animation on it. It's a much better show than that Masters of the Universe Revelation because Kevin Smith had nothing to do with it.
Another great one that my brother played like crazy. I got frustrated after so many levels, but Metroid.
Yes, and I remember one of the big things with that game is when you found out that Samus was a girl, that blew people's mind at the time.
Metroid was very cool. Very, very cool. Very cool stuff.
Yep, the Justin Bailey code, and you could play as Samus in the swimsuit or whatever it was.
More cheat codes. And there's the iconic Legend of Zelda. We talked about it earlier. We saw the commercial. Yep. Another one that level of frustration hits, and I couldn't go any further, but my brother mastered this damn game. And all the weird, I forget all the names of them that you can go back and watch the commercial again. It was great. That guy's a nutcase. Zelda, definitely groundbreaking. Definitely something that changed gaming and evolved into kind of open world, really the hunt for, something at the end and, quest, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the first times they really attempted to bring like the D&D experience to a video.
Exactly. Yeah. like a very scaled down type of D&D, but with different aspects of collecting things, and just very cool game. Double Dribble. I love this game. I could play basketball games till the cows come home. Something I was always into. Very, very, very primitive, very basic. But you could slam dunk kind of. So
That was another one I wasn't very good at, but I did
Double Dribble.
a bit of it.
Another one where you can like shoot like full court shots and make them sometimes and stuff too. It's another great game, Double Dribble. Another one of my favorites, Spy Hunter.
Yes, that was a great game.
Not a lot of variation, but you did. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing scrolling up and down. But you once you got going so fast, you had to master speed. You had to master, just really dodging things that are thrown at you left and right. So Spy Hunter is very good.
And then there was that part, if you took the one road, you could turn into a boat.
Yeah, that's true. Bump and Jump was a game I remember. It was kind of the same thing where you jumped and you had to land and you had to go over water and stuff. But how can we talk about Nintendo and video games without Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? I could just imagine just pushing those buttons. I was a button masher with a lot of these games, and I couldn't make it to Mike Tyson.
Did you ever play the other version of it where they took Tyson out and put Mr. Dream from the arcade back in?
No, I don't think so.
Same exact game. Mr. Dream fights exactly like Tyson. It's just they lost the license to use Mike Tyson's name.
Okay. Yeah, Clinton, that's it was a very frustrating game, although iconic at the same time. Son of a bitch, that bastard keeps hitting me.
And anybody that tells you they knocked out Mike Tyson in that game is full of fucking shit. You can only beat him by TKO. He will get up every goddamn time.
And the idea of fighting different types of characters was very cool. Like each of them had a different thing that they did that you had to memorize. You had to know the combination of which way to move and what he does next.
Yeah, and that game was mainly about timing more than anything.
Exactly. Like a lot of the same frustrations out there.
Yeah,
but it was a great game.
It was a great game once you figured it out. If you couldn't figure it out, it fucking sucked.
There were some other boxing games that were a little easier than that one that you could play as well that were fun. Mega Man, awesome game. This is the last one.
I still laugh my ass off at the art on the cover of that because it looks nothing like the damn game.
Yeah, they really were way out there. Now, the one that what that kind of reminds me of is a little more colorful. Tron. Tron was one of my favorite games.
Yeah,
loved the Tron games, and it was not just the bikes, but also throwing the disc and just the different levels, the 4 or 5 different that you got to play. I could play that Tron game all the time. It could be frustrating too with the bikes and stuff, but the newer Tron games are pretty dope too. And I believe that's it. Yes, sir. That is 40 different Nintendo games. And there's my friend's arm. He said, he said, "Do you ever see my tattoo?" And I was like, "Oh, up, down, left, right, BA starred." How about it? Tattooed on his arm.
Konami code.
Yep. So there you are. My buddy had that tattooed on his damn arm, showing how much of a game. And Telly, if you're watching this, big shout out to you, my friend. I shared it to him, I told him I had to put that on here if we're going to cover Nintendo.
Yes, that's an awesome tattoo.
The Wii version of the game actually had Donkey Kong as the secret boss. There you go.
Oh yeah, the Wii Punch-Out. Yeah, you could fight Donkey Kong.
So very cool stuff. No Contra. It is one of my favorites. I had to stop at December 1987. And I believe Contra was one that came up a little bit after that. So I was going to go to 50 games, but I figured I'd stop at 40, and we could always revisit Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's 716 games for the NES. Like if we tried to put them all in, we'd be here all day.
Yeah, but Contra, definitely a great one, falling in line with the Mega Mans and those type of games that we talked about as well. Metroid. But Contra was great. Contra was really great. All the different types of guns.
Especially, that you could play it with your friends.
Yep.
Which at that time, there weren't a lot of cooperative games.
Yep. So, I mean, we hit Spider-Man furiously a lot of Spider-Man, and it wasn't the first 40 games. I kind of, after the first 28, I picked and choose the 1942, the Pro Wrestling Russian Attack, track and field. There was a handful more, might have been 50 or 60 Ripper before, but yeah, Contra was just a little bit after Mega Man, or else I would have definitely hit up Contra. Looking at the list, I could have picked another 40 games to cover, but
easily.
Had to draw a line somewhere. Yeah, there you go. Shalky says next week, part 2 for 40 more.
Maybe not next week, but we could do that.
Yeah, I mean, someday we could revisit on Nintendo as well. But that was, in a nutshell, 2 of the most iconic brands that we can cover in the Legend of Dork, the Legion of Dork, which would be Spider-Man for toys and a lot more, and Nintendo for a video game system. A 24-hour Legion of Dork stream.
I'm going to need a lot of coffee.
Double Dragon, definitely a good one.
That was another good one.
Very good, very good. So
I was very disappointed by the NES Double Dragon as a kid because I played it in the arcade.
Yeah.
And the NES version of it was not the same.
So we do have one guest we're going to bring on if he's still hanging out back there. Cody hanging out. Let's talk to our buddy Cody Hagen.
I got Spidey.
There he is. You got yourself muted, Cody. You can't see it. Oh, check it out.
That's
welcome, brother.
What up?
Good to see you, man. Glad to have you on the show.
First time ever, and I guess what? It is Legion of Dork, so I had to bring a Jax Classic Superstars LOD.
Nice. That is awesome, dude. Nice. Road Warriors my favorite, and if WrestleSense we'll talk about stables, but if we ever talk about tag teams and you ask me who the best tag team of all time is, and you can fight me till the end of the world, Road Warriors above and beyond any.
I agree.
Both passed away. Rest in peace. By the way,
yes.
Someone did pass away today at 39.
Jimmy Rave. Yes, R.I.P. Jimmy Rave, definitely.
Walking Revolution.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, you talk about the Road Warriors back in the day, chiseled like a statue. They were doing things wrestlers weren't doing all the way back there.
But I also got more Funkos. I got the entire Spider-Man things. The golden.
Nice.
Yeah, show us anything you want, brother. I dig those.
Yeah, whatever you want to show us.
Those are very cool. Anything Spider-Man. The power of coffee compels you. That's awesome. Yes. I have the power. Very cool stuff. Awesome. Who's that?
Is that Mary Jane?
Mary Jane.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool.
I have the minis.
Cool. Now, now that I see, like I said, I didn't get into the Funkos as much. Now that I see them out of the boxes and stuff, because a lot of people keep them in the boxes, obviously. Those are cool little mini ones.
And we are talking about old classic, the Watchros, Hasbro's, but I got the Mattels. The only ones I have was Jericho.
Nice. I'm a huge Jericho fan, man. He's one of my all-time favorites. When back in the EFED days, when everyone used different avatars like real wrestlers, Jericho was Blaze McCoy.
Sure, as a fact.
Because his attitude, the way he was a smartass, is why I use Jericho.
And I show this in the fixtures.
Is that a ring?
Shit, it fell on the floor. It fell on my lap. But yeah, I did in the chat that I got this in the Hall of Fame Woo edition.
That is awesome.
The Hall of Fame Ric Flair ring.
That is cool. Oh, what a rush! Yes, indeed, Chuck.
I'm a big collector. I played to the old GTA Vice City games, some of the old games. I've kind of had the PS1 and PS2 days.
Yeah, I don't. Even though we're the Legion of Dork and we're coined the term after Legion of Doom, I prefer Road Warriors over the name Legion of Doom. I didn't the Legion of Doom version. I like the Road Warrior version better.
Well, the original Legion of Doom was a stable that the Road Warriors were part of.
I like it better that way.
MOD, Road Warriors. What's the difference?
Yep, true. And then who was it? The guy they brought on try to be a Road Warrior, was it Heidenreich or whoever they had?
Heidenreich, Draws,
Draws. Rest in peace, too. Draws.
No. Draws is still alive.
Oh,
surprisingly still alive.
Those Heidenreich.
I'm sorry, I'm mixing.
Draws, even paralyzed, still alive.
Draws is the one who his original name was going to be Puke.
Yeah.
Because he could
He's
puke on-
gonna puke. He's gonna puke. Damn it.
Yeah, and that's Shulky. That's what a lot of people do with those Funkos because they're. But we're old school gamers, man, and playing toys. I like to open them
Somewhere
up,
down the
play
line, I have a collection
Wow.
outside of it.
Wow, man.
Awesome, brother. That is awesome.
And then this side around, I have just the PlayStation lights. I can't actually show on the camera.
We're showing off a lot of different. I did have the pleasure of finally getting my old toy back from my brother's box, and
the NFL.
And yes, let's see if it actually can transform it.
Okay.
I don't have the cartridges that come with it, but there you go, old school.
Transformers.
Sound wave, shock wave, more than meets. Yeah, you got that right.
Does he have the battery in the back that comes off to make the cannon on his shoulder?
Yep, but I don't want to break it.
Don't break it. Don't break it. You make your
I'm
brother
trying not
angry.
to.
You'll have to go back and take the other one.
Ah! Oh, bum, bum, bum.
God
Nothing
damn it.
in there. But let's see if this works. Nope. It doesn't even open. There, I got to open it with my finger. Well, the little cartridges that go right in there. That was a good old-fashioned Transformers.
Yeah, those
Big
things wear.
snake.
You got to remember, they're 40-year-old springs in the
True.
house.
Jake the Snake. Wait, what? Jake the Snake
Was
was
it
one of the
LOD?
LOD. What?
The original LOD was a stable, not a tag team. The Road Warriors were part of it. but
That's
yeah,
the way I liked it. Road
Snake.
Warriors is the tag team. LOD is the stable.
Paul
I like
Wayne is the only LOD member from that group that's still alive.
Well, the LOD, I'm going to have to apologize ahead of time. Thursday night when we talk about stables, Legion of Doom as a stable are not in my top 40 stables, unfortunately.
Probably the Four Horsemen or the Pinnacle.
Well, 25. I broke it down to 25, and I have a list of ones that are, there's just so many. I found a website, and it's a European website. There are actually, this is a little teaser. Oh, I just broke his head.
Oh, no.
You
Oh,
can
tell
have
me you
it-
did.
back to your
No.
mom, switch it out for the other sound wave.
That's true. I got another one out there. When they're there, you go. This is what happens, folks.
Whap, 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 whap.
Broke his head. There is a list of stables that I found on a website, and this is a little what's going to happen on Thursday night. 163 stables combined in wrestling since the pre-60s. And I was watching a podcast where we were trying to figure out where the first stable was in wrestling. And this is this is a spoiler for Thursday night. And I was on another a watch along for it was AEW and SmackDown on Friday night. Wrestling Days, DAZE. He's amazing. And we were watching him, and it came up in the live chat. We were talking about who's the first ever stable. And we were both Googling it, looking in 1977, Jimmy Hart's first family was a stable, considered one of the first, but back in before the 60s, it was the Vachons.
Oh,
It was the Butcher and the Mad Dog, Maurice, Paul, and Stan Vachon. And then Luna Vachon was born from them, and we had a couple more Vachons. So there's your trivia question.
I do like Vice's Dark Side of the Ring. I've watched every season.
Yeah, very good stuff. I still have to watch Heels, which is another show that people are telling me that I should definitely watch.
There is also, I think I saw while watching the Vice's Dark Side, there was also a football Dark Side of the Ring.
A little super glue will fix you. Sorry, buddy.
I guess everyone in the watch party last Friday was a hooker.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We will be talking about him too Thursday night too. It's a Decepticon. Oh, they're dicks.
I guess Whammy Wolf was not able to join us.
No, we'll have. I'm glad you could though, Cody. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I recorded. I took the pictures on the Thursday. The Friday, as you all know, bad weather hit the South.
Yeah, tornadoes and stuff.
Mayfield, Kentucky was the hardest hit.
I did see the video of that tornado hit Kentucky. That was unreal.
Yeah, that was bad.
Well, Cody, I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging around in the green room, dancing to the 8-bit songs. You're hanging out with us.
I'm surprised you're actually still going after last night.
Yeah, it's a long one. We're heading on. We're going to hit another 2-hour show here. We planned on these being an hour, but with the amount of stuff we wanted to cover, 2 hours.
Yeah, week 13 and your debut at the War Rumble. What you want me to your son?
That's right. Yes, sir. That was fun too. Well, Cody, thanks for being a part of the show, buddy.
Yeah.
Any last words, my friend?
Man, I mean,
good luck in your fight coming up. It's Chance Harper teaming up with Brandon Ace, and it's you versus a partner to be named later, Cody.
So that's gonna be something.
Should be very
My career in LTD has been good.
I'm glad to have you on.
One-on-one singles matches, good. Or Wumbles almost got to winning.
Yeah, Rumbles are tough. Most people lose.
I am on my best.
Like this guy throwing me out of Rumbles now, Super Nacho. You threw me out another one today.
I am on my best behavior throughout the whole day 30 plus. I believe when I fight, it'll be day 6.
That's right. I appreciate you, Cody. Thanks for being on the show, buddy. Well, we did a ton of stuff tonight. We just hit the 2-hour mark. We'll do a quick shout out to all the members out there before we send ourselves off. So stay tuned.
This is a recording.
Please hang up and try your call again. If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator.
So big shout out to all the members of the channel out there helping me expand. That helps pay the members out there, help pay for the $25 a month for StreamYard so we can really expand it and do some cool stuff. And coming up, PlayStation 5, 3 different wrestling games next year. And that beat, I made that myself. That's one of my favorite beats I made because I found a bunch of samples of old phone stuff, the hold music, the beep music for the busy signal. That's one of my favorite beats I've ever made. Hey, Matt Outlaw in the building. Good to see you. And a big reminder, anybody, if you're watching a replay, reach out. Make sure you guys follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Skype. Send us pictures of your collections and stuff so we can feature it here on the next episode of Legion of Dork. It's been a blast, Nacho. I appreciate you once again.
Yeah, no problem, man.
And like we said earlier, man, Spider-Man, we could have talked for 8 hours on just Spider-Man stuff. And Nintendo for that matter.
And I actually do have one last bit of trivia. Well, actually 2.
All right, shoot.
It's for Spider-Man. Do you know who created them?
Because it can't be Stan Lee.
Stan Lee, yes, but the artist. Who designed Spider-Man's suit?
McFarlane?
Oh, McFarlane wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think. No, a lot of people think it was Steve Ditko because, he drew, Amazing Fantasy and, Amazing Spider-Man, but Jack Kirby actually designed the Spider-Man suit and was originally supposed to be the artist, but Stan kept telling him, draw him like a kid, and Jack Kirby was drawing him all beefy and muscled up, and so he pulled him off of it and brought in Ditko instead.
Well, that makes sense because, he's not like a big, buff, huge dude. Yeah. You want to give the realism of the fact he was a kid.
Yeah, he was only supposed to be 15 years old at the time.
And that's why I didn't really mention it, but in Civil War 2016, Spider-Man came out in the Captain America, and then in Avengers Infinity War 2018 and Endgame 2019. I love that they brought Spider-Man into it. And his interactions with Iron Man are great.
Yeah, I just wish that they would get him off Iron Man's dick a little bit in the movies and get him more to that standing on his own Spider-Man. Yeah, even after Iron Man died, he's all about him.
Yeah. Well, what do they do now? I mean, we've gone all the way. Well, we'll find out more on No Way Home, but after that, maybe we do get into a more adult, grown-up version of Spider-Man. Who knows? I mean, they can open up the Spider-Verse to a number of things.
Yeah, I think by the time the second trilogy with Holland is done, you'll probably see Peter and MJ married with, a kid, and maybe they'll transition into Miles or something.
Yeah, that's why I did that, Susie. When's the last time anyone's heard a busy signal?
Oh, today's
Or-
kids don't even know that phones used to be connected to the wall.
Yeah, or the old dial-up when you used to connect, that old
Yep.
noise that we
The
always heard.
rotary one where you have to push the number and then spin it.
Yeah, there's still that viral video out there where the parents give their kid one of those rotary phones and they can't figure out how to use
Yeah,
it.
they're sitting there dialing it, and then they pick up the phone and not understanding at all how it works.
I had a friend who I'd love to bring onto this show because he's been a computer genius all the way back in the days. Like he was the one that, whenever we were just playing Atari and stuff or Nintendo, he had the ability to connect. He had the internet before the internet was really the internet, and take the receiver, put it into the modem. You heard the noise. We picked the game, and it took overnight to get the game. I mean, this dude, my friend Tony, if I ever get him on here, he's a friggin' genius when it comes to video games and stuff. He would tap in and find games from Europe, Italy, Asia, and download them. And we play these obscure games, rip-offs of pretty much all the games we were doing today overseas and stuff. They in Asia and in Japan, and they had rip-offs of a lot of them too, or a lot of them originated from over there as well. But it was very cool. My friend did wonders with the internet before the internet was really the internet. So I'd love to bring some of my friends on. We'll see how we can do with that. But did you have another trivia thing you said, or is that?
Yeah, the first appearance of Spider-Man. Most hardcore fans, I'm sure it wasn't in a book called Spider-Man.
No,
it's amazing.
Yep,
Amazing Fantasy number 15.
Yes, sir.
And I saw that it recently sold at an auction for $3.6 million.
Wow. I was good at that's one thing that when I found my comics and brought them out, the ones that I had, and I was like, man, I should at least find a screenshot of that Amazing Fantasy because that's where he came from.
Yep. Well, that one that you showed, the chapter 1, that cover is very it's an homage to the Amazing Fantasy 15 cover.
This one. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No.
No, the chapter 1 with he's
New Beginning? No, this chapter 1.
Yep. Yep. That's an homage to that cover.
Sweet. So yeah, there you go. Spider-Man in a nutshell. A lot of great stuff. Cheers to everybody out there. If you're watching a replay, please leave a comment. Let us know what your favorite stuff is, what you collect, what you enjoy, and send us pictures for the next Legion of Dork. Thanks, everybody. Signing out till next time. See you tomorrow night on LTD. We're back at the Stable Wars Thursday night for WrestleSense. And some more LTD. Saturday LTD. Sunday back to more NFL Red Zone. And then maybe next Monday, maybe we'll mix it up. We might come with an earlier version or a different day just to try to get a different audience as well. But share this out to your social medias and let people know. Just talking shop is so much fun. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight. Stay tuned and we'll see you on the next Legion of Dork. We're out of here. See ya.
Good night.